crawling into your tent perched on the side of a mountain is sort of like, crawling into here, and you're kind of perched on the side of this cliff, and you're just, space is cramped. And I want you to imagine that there you are with me. The Atacama Desert is a few thousand feet below you. And like I said, Sahama is legendary for its wind, and you already have this sense of anxiety, this great challenge is ahead tomorrow, and you're still wondering if you can do this. And as you lay in your tent, and Sahama living up to its legendary reputation for high wind, this is what you hear. And the tent's just shaking and moving and buffeting with the wind. And what am I thinking at this point? Because there's this eerie feeling. It's dark out, my tent's moving all over the place, and it's almost as if our expedition has landed in some holy place or some sacred ground where we're not supposed to be. And the mountain is angry. And then I remember, Sahama actually means go away. And while I'm laying there, of course, what thoughts are going through my mind? Same thoughts would be going through your mind. We're going to blow off this mountain tonight. And all I can think about is, what's that going to be like? Rolling down the side of this mountain, inside this tent, in the dark, with another man. And it's these kind of thoughts certainly don't help me get to sleep, right? So for some comfort, for some reassurance, I turn to John, my leader, who's sharing the tent with me. And not trying to sound too concerned, I say, psst, John, any chance that we might blow off the mountain tonight? And John, like all good leaders, reassures me, right? He says, nah. He says, these tents are built for this. And so I lay back down, feeling only a little bit better, only to see John get up on one elbow, stick his head out into the dark, headlamp on, just to check that the other tents were okay. Now, I saw him do that, right? At this point, I'm freaked. We are climbing through the dark, and I want you to imagine that there you are, and you get to the rope, you clip in, you move it up like this, and you pull yourself, and you pound your ice axe in, and like this. Move it up again, and take another step, pound this in, kicking your crampons into the ice as you go, and then you get to a traverse, and you got to unclip, you clip into another, and you start going sideways. And I remember looking down, I remember I'm terrified of heights. I'm scared of heights. Don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm just a tourist. So up we go. And we all get excited from time to time. We want to try something new. We want to run a marathon. We want to lose weight. We want to go to Bolivia. We want to, find a relationship, whatever it might be. We want to do something. And then we start to find out, wow, this is harder than I thought. And that's what happens after a few hours being on this snow slope. And honestly, you end up climbing, for like an hour, and you're going so slow, and then you turn around, and weren't we just there? It feels like you're making no progress, like you're on an escalator going the wrong way, and up we go, and then suddenly, probably because of not much water, and we really didn't eat a lot of food, Jim, you can tell he starts to get weary. He's starting to run out of gas. Because he's starting to stop a lot. He's starting to lean on his axe. He's starting to make those comments. This is tough. I don't know if I can do this. But see, what's happening right now is there's this wrestling match going on inside Jim's brain, because he's starting to question whether he can do this, which starts to turn into actually questioning whether you really want to do this. But then there's another question. Jim knows now that we're down to one guide, one last chunk of rope, and if he quits, it's over for everyone. There's this great social pressure now, and he doesn't want to let us down. But he's running low on motivation. Jim needs motivation right now. And what he really needs is a motivational speaker climbing right behind him. Now, unfortunately, all he has is me. But anyway, so I start to get tired. It's like somebody tripped a switch, and all of a sudden, whoosh, all of a sudden I had no energy. Pretty soon your mood starts to deteriorate, and then I start to question, what am I doing here? I can't do this. And that soon turns into, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. But now I start this wrestling match, right? I want to quit. I want to go down. And you start visualizing base camp and what it would be like to just get in your sleeping bag. But now I'm in a dilemma, right? I want to quit. But then I can't be the one to ruin the expedition. How do I go back home, to Calgary and turn that into a speech? And while I'm wrestling through this, it's almost as if I began to descend into this base part of my brain that was only concerned with self-preservation. But it was there in one of my darkest moments that I came up with the most brilliant idea. I was like, that's it. I don't need to quit. I don't need to quit. I just need Jim to quit. That's right, if Jim quits, I get to go down. It's like an honorable discharge from the mountain. I can still go home and say, well, I would have made the top if it wasn't for this Carolina guy. Then to my shame, I'm starting to, now the praise and encouragement from me, that starts to taper off. And now when Jim's like, whoa, this is tough, I'm like, yeah, it's tough. And I'm wrestling too, like, don't encourage him to quit. Yes, encourage him to quit. And then I do something even worse. I open the door for Jim because I know what his struggle is. Right now it's me not wanting to let me down. And we're climbing. I'm like, psst, psst, Jim, I'm not obsessed with the summit. If you got to go down, it's okay with me. He's, oh, no, I don't want to disappoint you. No, really, Jim, we've already climbed 3 out of 4 mountains. That's 75%, higher than I got in college. I mean, that's pretty good. No, must keep going, and he keeps going. Well, finally, Jim's, another hour of this, finally Jim starts to get to the point where he's like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't go on anymore. And Osvaldo, being a good guide, senses the morale of the team. Of course, I'm, coming across to him like I've got all this energy. Let's go, Osvaldo. Come on, Jim, let's go down. And Osvaldo decides to call a meeting. Leaders like to call meetings, and so Jim has just finished making his pitch of why we should go down. You see Jim's back. You can see Osvaldo in the black balaclava. And he's thinking long and hard about what to do next. And I don't know what's going through his mind. I mean, we are really high right now. I think Jim was wondering, what's it going to take to get Osvaldo to take us down? I think I was wondering, what's it going to take to get Jim to quit? And I think Osvaldo was wondering, what's it going to take to get these 2 turkeys to the top? And we're all on this climb in life. We're all on this expedition. We all get these ideas from time to time. Yes, I want to do this. I want to build this company. I want to, become this in my career. And, we start out with all this energy, and then we realize again, wow, this is harder than I thought. Reminds me of certainly kind of a mini hero of mine. It's a guy named Larry Walters. And some of you who are older might remember this. Back in the 1980s, Larry Walters had come back from the Vietnam War. And he didn't have a job, but he'd always wanted to fly. Of course, your pilot's license costs a lot of money, right? So there's got to be some other ways. So being innovative, he decides maybe I can use a lawn chair. And so he gets this idea that he'll get his lawn chair and he'll attach to it some helium-filled weather balloons. I mean, it sounds good so far. Now you remember lawn chairs in those days, don't you? I mean, it wasn't like those nice fold-out things that we have now. It's those little aluminum with some nylon straps. You sit in them too long, you start to sink down through them. Well, Larry gets one of these armchairs, outdoor lawn chairs, and the challenge when you do something new, when you're a pioneer, is the math. How many balloons do you need to get? I mean, this should be in every grade 5 math text, right? How many helium balloons does it take to raise 185 men 100 feet off the ground? Because that was his plan. 100 feet off the ground, float inland, freak out his neighbors. Hey, Joe, whoa. So he gets a bunch of supplies, gets a radio, he gets a pellet gun rifle. Now, why would he get a pellet gun rifle? Yeah, so that when he gets too high, it's time to land, he can shoot out the balloons, right? Hoping that popping one doesn't cause a chain reaction. When it comes to buying the weather balloons, Larry buys 45. That should do it. And when he hooks them up and his buddy cuts the rope, which was attached to his Jeep, Larry doesn't go up 100 feet. In fact, he doesn't even go up 200 feet. Larry goes up 16,000 feet. When you go from sea level to 16,000 feet in a matter of minutes, you are dazed and confused. So Just imagine, there's Larry floating up 16,000 feet, pellet gun rifle in his lawn chair. And now the problems multiply because now he's in LAX airspace. In fact, the first two people to spot him were two Delta Airlines pilots while they flew by. Now you imagine that conversation. You phone that in. No, I'm not phoning you. I'm the captain. You phone it in. So they phone down to Tower, right? Tower. There's a guy in a lawn chair with a pellet gun rifle. And yes, that's right, we are at 16,000. So anyways, they think, terrorist attack, helicopters, and they get up there. Oh, okay, it's Larry. We got to rescue him. Anyways, I tell this story for one reason. They get him back down on the ground. Now think about this. Here's a guy who decided he wanted to fly, and he did. But when they got him back down on the ground, who's waiting for him? The boys in blue, right? You have the right to remain silent, and they're leading him away. Of course, the reporters are there. And someone asked him, Mr. Walters, why did you do it? And his response was so simple yet so profound. Mr. Walters, why did you do it? As he's being led away, he says, well, because a guy can't just sit around. But it's true, it's true. I mean, I could be talking to Wally Berg still, year after year. Where are you going this year, Wally? Ooh, sounds exciting. But at some point, you can't just sit around, and you have to break the ruts, and you have to break the routines, and you just have to start to get a clear picture of, I want to do something. So there I am at high camp, and remember back that question? Why are you here? What are you doing here? And the answer that came to my mind that night was, oh yeah, you were looking for adventure. And the other thing that hit me right after that was, but you have so much adventure back home. I mean, your kids have these lives, and there's all these drama, and Billy did this, and Sally said this, and you got this family, and business, and all that stuff, and you have adventure. So the problem is, I think you've been missing it. You've been skipping pages, skipping whole chapters, because you're looking beyond that. And I realized that, I think a big part of success in life is the ability to just plug in today and realize that, yeah, it's true. What adventure will come my way today, whether it's with my kids or whatever.